is Kelli Ogmundson, and I'm a comedian and an actor.
Oh, I didn't know you were a comedian. Did that come
Yeah,
first before the acting part?
it came at the exact same time. I have this year of my life that I call like the year because I was like 15 and I started doing improv and musical theater at the exact same time, and that set me up for the rest of my life.
Wow, that
Yeah.
and any hesitation at all to just jump right into it, or did it feel natural to you?
It finally felt natural, honestly. I was like a sports kid for a lot of my life, and I'm very short, and I was very small. And I think looking back on it, the thing that I really enjoyed about like doing basketball games was the audience and like putting on a show. Like I think I was a little bit of a showy player, and I think that was just like my inner ham trying to get out.
Describe showy player. I'm imagining it, but I want to see if I'm on the same plane as to what you were doing.
Um, I think I would just like bring the attitude and like really try and make my team like like a Disney Channel original movie. Like I was like, "Come on, guys!" and like getting angry when I probably wasn't that angry. And because I was a point guard, and so I would set the plays, and I think that was like my my shining moment. And if I like got a basket, I would be like, whatever, like who me? This all the way is like an 11-year-old girl.
Oh my God, I was picturing like latter end of high school or something.
No, no. This is like an 11-year-old girl thinking that she is Steve Nash.
Now, are you still sporty? Have you held on to that athleticism, or are you focused more on just the art of performance and comedy?
Yeah, I'd like to do more. I went to college for musical theater, so I got to dance through college, and I really love dancing, and I love tap, but all these things that I like I didn't really keep up with once I graduated in a way that like it wasn't as easily accessible, and I'm kind of shy. So I like would get really nervous to go to dance classes, but I've started to get back into them now. I did a musical last summer, so I had to dance again. So I took some classes to get back into the swing of things. But yeah, I mean I take spin and yoga, but I kind of would love to do like a weird basketball group again
Why
of
not?
like young women. It'd be kind of fun.
I think you can corner the market towards reliving our youth sports days via Disney Channel original movie. You know,
Yeah, exactly. There was like a Disney Channel original movie about basketball, about a pair of twins, and it was called Double Teamed.
was it Double Team?
Yeah, and I loved it. I really did.
Was that okay? Is that your all-time favorite decom?
My favorite Disney Channel original movie has got to be High School Musicals 1 through 3. It's got to be. Because I feel like that also came out right around the same time I was doing musical theater. So
Yeah,
like it holds a special place in my heart.
I honestly forget how old those movies are now.
Well, if I we dated, then you'll know how old I am. So let's just
we won't date it because I was
yeah.
around the same time, and it freaks me out. We're coming up on what's the anniversary? Yeah, no. Yeah, like it was 5 years ago. We just
Yeah,
graduated.
exactly.
Oh,
I'm young.
sorry. I think that's the first time someone's brought up double teamed on this podcast.
Thank you.
So
That's my
I would give you an
journey.
award.
Most deep cut of Disney Channel original movies, I think.
Between
Has
that
anybody
and
brought up
motocrossed.
Oh my god, is that okay? Yes. There's also one with Brie Larson. Is that one motocross?
Is
Or
Brie Larson in that?
Brie Larson is in one. It's either that one or if there's one about a different kind of racing, like derby, like, what are those little cars?
Oh, yes! The one with, Frankie Muniz.
Yeah. I I was gonna say Pixel Perfect. Do you remember Pixel Perfect?
Oh my god. I just had, like, a repressive memory flash and whoa, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like,
Oh my
I had a crush on the lead guy in that movie. I think it might have been, like, Ricky Ullman or
Yes!
what. Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah.
Holy yeah, hey, guys, we're still teenagers.
Yeah,
If you don't know
exactly.
what these are, you're just not cool, and that's just the brunt of it.
And
So,
that's just the brunt of it. I don't know what any of the new movies are. I don't know what Teen Beach Movie is. I don't know what the, like, there's, like, a whole bunch of new ones. I'm like, I don't know what that is.
nope, nope, you stick to the hits.
Give
You
me
stick
that
to the
weird
hits.
leprechaun one, you know?
God, Luck of the Irish.
Look at the Irish. Or the
Okay,
7th year or whatever,
I
where
gotta
that guy becomes a mermaid.
the 13th okay, I gotta
13th
I gotta
year.
I gotta push this because I can't, we're gonna be stuck on decoms for the
I'm
next,
so
like, 40
sorry.
minutes.
I'm
No,
so
don't apol I
sorry.
got way too excited. Ugh, okay. This is what you get when you put 2 actors together and they're
Yeah,
bonding over, like, childhood movies.
exactly.
I do wanna, like speaking of your childhood, this is a
Yes.
horrible segue. What led your, outside of sports, what led your interest into the performing arts, the entertainment industry? Was it watching DCOMs and wanting to be, with Zac Efron dancing it up? Or,
Probably. I think there's an element to that. I know that even today, like, I am a huge fan. Like, through and through, I'm a fan of television, I'm a fan of movies. I like, uh, I I love other people's work. I love watching, like, good work, and I get really excited about it and really inspired by it. Um, so I think that was absolutely a part of it. I watched my friend in a musical, and I loved it so much that I was like, "I wanna do that too." And so I joined her musical theater troupe, and then we were there.
oh, did you have any natural singing ability before going into that?
Luckily, yes. Like, little to my knowledge, I mean, I sang a lot as a kid, like, my first words were E-I-E-I-O, like, and, like, I always was musical, but no formal training, didn't get trained until I was in college, but got into the college program, still do musicals as much as I can. Yeah,
Wow, that's so cool. As someone who can't sing, I'm eternally
and
jealous.
anybody can sing. But I understand your fear because it is terrifying. Like, I lost my voice last year to COVID, a month before I was starting my musical contract, and I was really terrified that it was never gonna come back. But I think 2 weeks into rehearsals, it finally came in. But those first weeks, I was like, "You might have to fire me." Like, I was terrified, terrified.
Nothing was coming out.
Yeah, and it was, like, bad and, like, a muscle that I had, like, I guess I hadn't flexed in a little bit because we were supposed to do the show in 2020, but then something happened in the world, and then, um, it got pushed 2 years, and so I guess I hadn't been singing, and then I had COVID, and it was bad, and a month before I was working, so it all came down to, like, true fear, but I took a couple lessons, like, while I was in rehearsals, and with time, it came.
You were just drinking, was it, hot water with honey and
Lemon,
lemon?
yeah, yeah, really, really gentle, like, going back to the, like, basics of, like, in theater school, like, chugging, nin jam, which is like a syrupy thing that is great on the throat. Highly
Ooh.
recommend nin jam. It's great, but, like, that kind of, like, you have to get through it, the show must go on vibe that I hadn't felt in a while, which I really liked.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years away from that sort of focused prep, I mean, what were you doing during COVID? Were you trying to keep yourself nice and loose when it came to your performance skills? Obviously, singing is, it's more of a rarity around that time, but what was keeping you sane artistically during lockdown and when nothing was really coming in?
Yeah, I did a lot of, painting and, putting shelves up in my house. I got really into home decor, and watercolors. I was grateful though, I did work, quite a bit during COVID. I got a job on a show called Family Law, and, what else did I do? Um, and I did a show called Phantom Pups, like, all during that kind of time. Uh,
Phantom Pups?
Phantom Pups, it's a children's show on Netflix. I play the villain. It's actually very good. It's like a very cute show.
Oh, how did I miss that on IMDb?
It's right there, all episodes, you know?
10 episodes of Phantom Pups. Well, I know what I'm gonna
Yeah.
watch later on because I have to check it out now.
It's cute, it's really cute. I don't watch a lot of my stuff, not gonna lie, like, I tend to just, like, watch with my hands over my face. Uh, so I hadn't watched it, and then I was like, "Oh, I gotta make a new demo reel." My friends were like, "There's some funny stuff on that." And so I was like, "Okay, I'll watch it." And I was like, "Wait, hold on. This is cute. Liked it."
Now, who do you go to for that extra perspective? Because I can't look at myself either. So when you're
Yeah.
sending a demo reel, you're going through clips, who do you trust to give you, that ultimate piece of support to say, this works, this doesn't?
My wonderful agent, Carrie Wheeler, she'll just be like, "I love this. This is great. This one, yep, yep, yep." So I'm like, "Okay, cool." But I do have like wonderful friends and family who are like, "Oh, this was actually very lovely, Kelly." I don't know why I keep saying actually, like we're used to you being trash, but uh, I'm very grateful. I have a very lovely support system. I don't think I could do this if I didn't.
Yeah, it's definitely, I'm sure it's a hell of a lot harder if you don't have that familial support. I mean, were they excited when you decided you wanted to pursue musical theater in college? Were they apprehensive? What was that reaction like?
I think it was a little bit like, okay, yeah, because I had done it in high school, and there was a show I did called The Pirates of Penzance, and I had this, like, played this very like, a part that I got, and I was like, "Oh, I have to play, like, the ugly old woman," and I was so, like, upset because I was, 16 and I wanted to be pretty. But I really got to actually stretch my acting and, comedy chops for the first time, and I made a whole meal out of it. There was, like, a scene where I ate, like, a whole, like, sheet birthday cake on stage, and, like, my parents were like, "That was when we were like, she's got something." So there was probably a little bit of apprehension, but they were always supportive. Always, always supportive.
And I'm sure now they're looking at what you're doing and going, You should keep doing
Yeah.
this."
Yeah, they're like, "This is already so much more than we thought it could possibly." And I'm like, "Me too." Like, this business is cruel. Uh, but no, I've been so fortunate, and I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to animal control in a second because
Yeah.
obviously that's the first thing I had seen you in.
Yeah.
Forgetting the fact that you were also in Supernatural years ago, that
My
I'm
first
sure
big
we'll
job.
have to touch on. Yeah, was that the first time you were on, a union, big set, or was there a time before that?
There was one time before where I booked a test pilot for a Canadian, because 'cause I'm Canadian, a children's sketch comedy show. So that was my first booking, and I, like, flew to Toronto to do it. It was, like, 3 days. There's a whole bunch of us, and you weren't guaranteed final casting, uh, and we like filmed a bunch of stuff with like a bunch of different people. I did end up getting final casting, but it never ended up happening. But that was my first thing, and my first time being like, "This is it. My whole life is gonna change," and then nothing came from it. And that happened a lot, and it will continue to. Um, yeah, and then it was Supernatural, which was like unreal.
Were you a fan before the casting for that?
Yeah, and, like, I'd seen a little bit of it, but what was really sweet is my best friend of, like, now 23 years, she was a huge fan. So, like, when we were talking about it, she was like, "Oh my god." She, like, fully, like, she taught me everything. It was very sweet. Um, and yeah, it was, like, really my first American thing, and The budget was so big. Like, I don't think I've seen a budget like that since, but I haven't been on anything's 10th season since then. I
That's
think it was
fair.
10th because it was their 200th episode.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
I'm the smallest part in it.
it's
The teeniest,
still
tiniest.
a really prominent part.
Yeah, and I did all the singing and, all those high notes you hear in that one song, that's me.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I did all the highest soprano. I was like, "Thank you, that's my musical theater diploma."
You just show your parents the check from Supernatural, like, "This should go towards the loans, right?"
Yeah, yeah, hello. I did it. Yeah.
That is so good. So I always love hearing about someone's first experience on a set like that. You get the call sheet, you have to be, at this location at this time on this day. What was your response before the camera started rolling, and what was the response afterwards? Where it's usually like euphoric, but you're also like, oh my god, it's already over.
I think I was truly, like, confused and terrified the whole time. Like, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything, like, where a camera was and, like, what I was supposed to do and when you can take a minute because the camera's not on you, or there was a moment where I won't say who, didn't know what my name was and thought it was Emily and was like, "Emily, Emily, Emily," and was, like, fully yelling at me, and I was like, "Oh, oh, yeah, yeah, no, I'll go over there." Didn't never corrected him. Like, was like, "No, no, I'm Emily now. That's who I am."
Huh? It was a him. Hmm.
Yeah, but it wasn't an
Interesting.
actor. It
Oh
was
dang. Okay, I was
yeah.
imagining Jensen Ackles just yelling at
No,
you.
he was very lovely, so tall. Him and Jared, so tall and so lovely. Very, very nice.
Oh yeah, I worked with Jared 2 years ago for a day, and I was just starstruck the whole time. You're a lot taller than I thought you'd be, man, and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
just beautiful.
He's like a foot and a half taller than me.
It's insane.
Literally. Also, it's kind of funny that my first, like, big job, I'm in drag. It's like, I'm in a full, like, beard. I'm playing the dad. That's something Jeffrey Dean Morgan and I have in common. We have played the same part on that show, which I do love.
Hey, it's something to put on your CV.
Yeah, we're the same essentially.
So, you did bring up a really interesting point. You were doing that, and you weren't really familiar with, camera placement, how to essentially work on a functioning set. Were you taking classes after that to be more familiar with it, or how did that work?
No, I'm stupid. I kind of learned as I went. I'm so grateful that somebody wasn't like, "This is you're stupid and like, I know that there must be other people who I had taken some, film classes in college. We, like, luckily had that as a course. So I knew, like, gently how certain things worked, um, but I didn't know, like, who to go to when you show up on set. And on that job, like, I was young and I didn't have a car. My dad drove me to set. And, like, which is so cute. But I would just, like, walk in and be like, "I don't know where to go." And I didn't know for, like, 5 more years. Once again, a wing and a prayer, just, like, getting out there.
Are you feeling more comfortable now, or what's
Yeah,
your okay,
yeah.
good.
There was a moment during animal control where it was, like, the first time in my entire career that I was like, "Oh, I know what I'm doing." Like, I literally know exactly what is going on and what to expect and that I know what I'm doing, and it was very lovely moment, honestly.
Oh, that's fantastic. I do wanna to talk about animal control, and we
Mhm.
can even go to family law and phantom pups too, but just your approach to the whole self-tape thing. How do you feel about self-tapes? Do you prefer in-room? What are your feelings about auditioning?
It's such a, like, I don't know if, like, double-edged sword is the right analogy, but just, like, it's both good and great.
Mhm.
Like, I do like that, um like, I think that would have been really great when I was working, you know, like a true 9 to 5, like 5 days a week, and it was hard to just be like, "I have to get this time off to go to this audition that's at 10:15, and I work 9 to 5." Like, you know, like, that would have been really helpful for a younger me.
Yeah.
Um, and so, like, I do like the freedom of, like, getting to, uh, do it when I have the actual time. But I do miss feedback a lot. Because sometimes I will swing. I'll just, like, put out something and have no idea if that's what they were looking for. So I miss feedback. For my animal control audition, though, it was Zoom, which I really appreciated. It was like an option. It was like you could either send in a self-tape or do a Zoom, and I was like, "Let's do Zoom. Let's get immediate feedback."
Oh my god, that's amazing.
And I was so grateful and, like, didn't have to have a reader, like, on FaceTime, which is what I do, and, like, I like, it and, like, we got to send in different takes because we had them, and it was really I'm very grateful. Yeah. So
That
I'm a mix. I love it, I hate it. Pulling down my, like, ring light and my backdrop does feel, like, defeating sometimes. Putting it back away is the real hard part. Doing an audition in my bedroom. One day we'll
I
have an office. Not when I live in Vancouver, though.
no,
It's
pretty
expensive to have a
pricey.
s oh, baby.
Let's say it sucks down here in the States. I can only imagine up in
Yeah,
Vancouver where everything's happening.
yeah, it's kind of wild. Anywho, yeah.
Well, that's like, the fact that they had an option for you to do a Zoom where people are there and interacting with you, I wish they would do that here. That's a fantastic idea.
It's rare. It's so rare. It's happened to me, I think, twice. So, like, yeah. Oh, and then, like, callbacks will be sometimes in person, um, sometimes over Zoom. Yeah. But
Yeah.
mostly, yeah, it's a self-tape and a prayer.
Well,
Yeah.
with your experience with, appearing on Family Law, Phantom Pups, and now Animal Control, I mean,
Mhm.
you're kind of boosting in your career. At least that's something I would say. I know you may not say it because as artists, we're all very self-deprecating and we're like, I'm
Yeah.
just doing my job. But it seems like, things are stacking up for you. So I wanted to see if you could look at yourself in 5 years, where do you want to be as far as your acting career? Do you want to go more towards musical theater and work in that full time? Or do you want to expand to more film and television? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I'm so, like, I want to do everything. I can have it all, and I think it stems from, um, this, like, moment in high school where we were doing a musical, and they were like, "You can either be the lead, but you have to quit the improv team, or you can stay on the improv team, and you could be in the ensemble." And I said, "No, I'd like to do both, please." And they said, "No." And since then, I've been like, "I can do anything. I can do it all." So I I I wanna do it all. I would love to do more film and television, though. I really do love it more and more as I'm doing it, as I'm, understanding the ins and outs.
I don't know. It looks like you have a pretty firm grasp on it from the episodes I've seen of AC so far. I think
Thanks.
we're like 8 episodes in, 6 episodes in, and there are moments where I had to rewind and get people to come back like, "No, you just missed a funny part. I need you to sit down right now and stop getting up to get coffee." Uh, yeah, it's really cool to see how people embrace their career in different facets, whether they, want to stick to character acting or go to musical theater or, become leads. But you going for all of it just sounds awesome. Like I can't wait to see what happens in the next few years. That
We'll
sounds
see.
great. Uh
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely more of a character actor, and I love parts like Dolores, like, to
yeah.
be there and, like, just, like, a couple funny one-liners, I love that kind of work. My first ever, like, big job was a show called Cavendish. It was Canadian, so you probably never watched it, but I stand by it being a really great show, and I'm proud of my work on it. Where it was a very similar thing. It was like a series lead, but just like this odd woman, like basically in the background of everything, come in to say something very weird. And like I love that kind of work. So I'd love to do more of that. I hope that there's like more interesting lead characters on shows though that are like that, that have that kind of weird side to them because like that's my bread and butter. I'm an odd woman who likes making odd jokes.
Well, and we need it because after a while it gets really stale just seeing, these same lead types just taking up the centerfold, but the ensemble is why we keep watching,
Yeah, yeah.
you know?
That's like a great thing about Animal Control though. Everybody's a freaking character and it's so good. Like it's just like you can be like, yeah, that would be what they do.
Yeah.
And it adds a lot of like lovely tones to every single person.
Well, and with you being, a comedian in addition to being an actor, I can only imagine some of the lines that have been cut from the final
Yeah.
edit because they just didn't have time, or they're like, "We're sorry, this was great, but we got to go with this. We had to shorten it." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Hey, I
totally.
give
I
you
was like,
gold, man."
yeah, I keep being like, "Oh, that didn't happen." But there next this upcoming episode, we did one one scene I did like maybe like 10, 12 different cut lines like just like off the end because they were feeding them to me and then I would come up with some, but honestly it was mostly the genius behind the scenes. Uh I love Emily. Anyway, we like uh we threw out so many options and I'm like looking forward to this week and being like, which one did you use? Or did you use none of them? Like what are we gonna get here? It's
And they
fun.
don't tell you, right? You don't know until you see the final edit.
Exactly.
Well, and with your career, your resume, I know you have something in the pocket for this next question, but I wanted to see if you have a party story you could share with our listeners. So, not something that occurred at a party,
I
but
was like, "Well, I don't go out."
no, it's, I don't go outside. I stay inside. But something that has occurred during your life, your career, that stood out so immensely, you could easily recant it amongst friends at a party. So it could be hilarious, personally tragic. It could be really scary. We usually go for funny here on this podcast,
Yeah.
but yeah, if there is a moment, even on animal control, if that's easier to kind of narrow down, but just something that that made you laugh really hard that you could bring up.
It's not okay, it happened to me, and it's kind of my friend's story, and I don't know if he would be embarrassed if I told it. I could just, like, not name names.
Yeah, just fake names.
I'll just, like, be kind of vague about it, but it's very funny, and, like, in the moment, I was like, "This is hilarious." It was a cast and crew final party. It is a party story. Uh, like, final night, everybody's drinking a lot. The night goes on very, very late because, we're out of town, we're in a different part of the country, and, it goes very late, but I'm like, "I have to get on a plane tomorrow morning. I'm not gonna stay out too late." So I go home at, like, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I have a a friend who's also coming home at I thought at 3 o'clock in the morning, but I believe did not make it home at 3 o'clock in the morning. And so the next morning where I'm, like, in the car to get to the airport at 9 AM, we're trying to get a hold of him, and we can't, and we're, like, calling, texting, knocking on the door, cannot reach him, and at one point, the driver's just like, "If you don't leave now, you're not making your flight," and I wanted to go home. So, uh, we, like I, like we just, like, rushed me, I, like, ran through security essentially, like, was like, "I'm so sorry, I have to move past you, I'm so sorry." Um, and, like, got on to the plane and just left without him, and I, like, land because it was, like, connecting flight. I, like, land, and I just, like, get a text, and it's just him being like, "Oh, no." And I'm like, "You beautiful idiot." I guess he just fully, like, passed out, phone dead, like, no alarm set. So like, got into, like, bed probably at, like, 6 o'clock in the morning, so, like, didn't even realize it, and didn't notice anything until somebody had to they had to, like, call security because they were scared that he was dead, and, like, opened the door, and he was just, like as he was, like, waking up, and he was like, "I'm so sorry." So
And this person's name was
no, no, no. But really love him. Great. Doing very well. And that's like, I know it's not my story to tell, but I do tell it a lot because it's so cute. Just like, didn't make it.
Hey,
And it's like mostly from just like, you're just up chatting because you're so excited to be around these people. You're not going to be around them anymore. And you don't recognize how late it's gone.
I would say that is definitely your story because you did try to help.
I really did.
You were going for it.
I was, and I got home, thank God. But like, very funny. I'm like, I wonder like how happy they were about having to buy you a new plane ticket. Oh, I also do like when I was on the plane, they were kept calling his name. They're like, blank blank, please make it to the
You almost said
thing.
it.
And I was like, oop. Every time I almost wanted to be like, he's not coming. Just go.
Let's just get this going.
Yeah.
Well, this next question does segue perfectly with the context of that story, and that's if you have a piece of advice that you could give to our listeners, whether it's somebody who is just now starting their performing arts, journey, or maybe
Mhm.
they've been in it for a while and they're trying to, regulate, navigate, and kind of stick with it after COVID. Do you have anything you could pass on to them?
Always is just stick with it. I know that it's, like, so simple, but I will say that after I filmed Cavendish, that Canadian show that nobody watched, outside of Canada, uh, I didn't work for 2 years. Uh, I was my first series lead, and then I didn't work for 2 years in film and television. I was lucky enough to have a couple, theater jobs in the interim, but, like, could barely get an audition. Like, I just, like, it was so hard after that, and I was like, "That's it, my career's done." Didn't work for 2 years, and
Well,
then I booked, like, a recurring on Family Law, and that was just like, "Okay, I'm not stupid for sticking it out." Like, I just was like, "Okay, we can make it." But yeah, I didn't yeah, 2
oh
years.
my god, yeah, 2 years. I feel like that's it's not normal, but I hear that a lot from folks. If you get something really big, it's like 2 years of just quiet, maybe a
Yeah.
couple auditions, and then something else. But you made it out of the pit, so
I think that a lot of people have their 2 years.
yeah.
Like, I think that's a common thing of just like, "Ah, yes, this was my 2 years." And, like, you get through them and hopefully something comes and just like if when it comes to like the weirdness of self tapes, swing big, have fun. When it comes to comedies, maybe don't have fun like for the good doctor.
Law and Order SVU.
SVU. You don't have to like go full on. But like, you know, also I find that like using your own uniqueness in as much as you can. Like, kind of taking myself into everything in a way, being like, "This is me, and this is how I would do it," uh, is interesting and unique. Don't try and be somebody else.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, and you know
Yeah,
what? That's going around in every acting class that I go to, my friends go to. It's embracing that individual or I can't even talk right now. Caffeine, come on. The individuality that you bring to each character. So that's pivotal. And
yeah.
also oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to say to that, like, it took me a really long time to understand that. It took me a really, really long time to understand that because with like musical theater, everything is very uniform. And for like a lot of my like training, it was like you got to fit this box, and you got to like move exactly like your friend over here, and you got to do this. You're a bookend. You're this, and I wish that we had like valued more of our own individuality. And so it took me so long, but I finally got there.
Yeah, I never thought about that. I'm not a musical theater person. I've never performed in theater, but yeah, I can imagine you are part of that group. You guys are supposed to match with each other, and uh, I will say I spent the first 5 years of my career trying to match Taylor Lautner, which I look back on now and probably wasn't the best route to go.
That's okay. I've done
But
that too. I've tried to be Emma Stone. I've tried to be Aubrey Plaza. Like that,
yeah,
and that's also the thing that we're like. because they were huge and still are,
Mhm.
but like they're like, we want this type, but it's just for a guest star on this role, so we're not going to bring in the star, but who can bring this energy that we act like that we actually want?
Yeah.
And so
We
I'd
want
be
an
like,
Emma Stone type. You're like, I got it.
I just read for an Emma Stone type, and I'm like, is it the red hair? That's it. I don't have anything else really.
I don't know. You have that vibrant personality. I think like the second they see that on camera, they'll go, okay, yep, let's everyone pay attention. So
She's really bringing Easy A as
yeah.
much as she can. Yeah, no, it's I so hear you, and I love that it's Taylor Lautner.
I got that before I ever became an actor working at a
Yeah.
movie theater when those were coming out. So I
Oh,
had
I
to
bet.
sell the t-shirts. Yeah, a lot of
I'm like
fun.
I'm a big Twilight head. I like ironically and unironically love it. So this is great.
Are you hiding all the cardboard cutouts and posters away from your camera right now?
No.
I was honestly, like, I swear I thought I was going to say something. Um,
It's just a guitar, I swear, and a poster, but of mitosis, not of Taylor Lautner.
that's what she wants us to think. Um, as we wrap up here, I do want to see, do you have anything I can give a shout out or promote within the episode notes?
Well, we got 2 more episodes of Animal Control. This week and next week will be our finale, and it's so good and very, like, a lovely ending of a season. I was on The Good Doctor last night, so oops. Which was really cool. It was, like, right after I filmed Animal Control, I got it. I got to do that, with John Billingsley played my dad. He's excellent.
Oh, wow.
So if you watch The Good Doctor, that was me. And anything else, I don't think I can say yet. But there's just like one little other thing, but I don't think I
I'll just circle back around in like 6 months.
can. Yeah, yeah. Well, you'll have me back on, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I have one more thing we will do, but I do want to say this has been just a blast chatting with you and just getting to geek out DCOM's theater, which I know nothing about, but I'm learning so
Yeah.
much.
Couple of
Uh,
fans. It's been really
yeah,
lovely chatting with you.
yeah, it's been a blast. Yes, I
Yeah.
hope to have you back, and fingers crossed for a second season of
Yeah,
Animal
big time.
Control. I'm gonna
Mhm.
cross fingers for you. I
Thank
do want
you.
to preface this final little thing we do
Okay.
by asking you if you've ever seen Wayne's World.
Yeah. Of
Okay.
course. I'm
Oh,
Canadian.
thank
Mike Myers. Big
thank
fan.
God.
Yeah.
Remember the scene where corporate takes over the set and Wayne walks off and Garth is left just kind of like solemn, freaked out, and muttering to himself on screen?
Gently. Been a while.
That is all to prepare you for what I like to call an awkward goodbye. So for
Okay.
every single episode, I'll give you a silent 3, 2, 1 countdown. And when I point to you, give me your best verbal and visual awkward goodbye. Does that sound
Okay.
good?
Yeah. Love it.
You're already prepping for it.
Sure.
Okay, Miss Kelly. Well, here we go. In 3.
Okay, yeah. Well, hey now. Li Yeah, it's uh wow. We learned and we talked and why don't you call me sometime? Buckaroo. Hey, hey, thank you so much for this opportunity.